Welcome to Game 2 of the final match in Jupiter's October Kit Tournament. The one thing I forgot to mention before is that this is the finals table. If either person manages to 2-0, they will be guaranteed to win the entire tournament. So Dan is currently one game away from securing his win in this entire tournament. It's probably a huge deal at this point. I think this was maybe the fourth or fifth time that the Jupiter guys had played for this kit. This is still a summer kit tournament, even though it's in October. So pretty much everybody had everything except for one or two pieces. So the swag distribution in terms of like a rare draft pick was very interesting, in that you just got to pick, and so a lot of players didn't necessarily take the thing you thought they were going to take. I think the playmat went to like the third or fourth place person, just because of the way it was done. It's a nice way to do it. They just allow, if there's 8 pieces of swag, top 8, everybody picks one. It keeps players coming back. It keeps everybody thinking, like, I paid my $5, I'm guaranteed to win something. So, anyway, I'm back to playing Wayland, my little combo deck, and Dan is playing Noise. He wasn't quite sure how he felt about Noise, and he just kind of threw it together because he thought it was fun, and would find out through this tournament the raw strength of Noise. So every single time a virus program gets played, a card from R&D is going to go into archives. Both players are going to elect to mulligan. One of probably the toughest decisions I've found. It is tough for the corporation, however, because the corporation really just needs ice and money, and then once the ice gets flipped, they can spend time drawing their hand size back up and gaining credits. It's a little bit easier to take mulligans as the corporation. It's pretty difficult to take mulligans as the runner. You really have to know what your rig is trying to do. Does it have the pieces it needs? Are the cards in my hand going to allow me to play through early game and mid game? Do I have an early game, mid game deck? It's all runner specific. Not saying that it's not corporation specific, but so the downside to playing to mulliganing as a corp is that if you have a pretty decent hand and you mulligan it, you could potentially draw into you don't have any ice. So that's what wound up happening. We see a mulligan into pretty much no ice. So cash goes out, card gets milled. The only ice that got installed was in front of R&D. Probably trying to elect to play the bluff game. Show the runner, there's probably nothing in my hand, don't bother coming and getting it. So draw for the turn, drawing another agenda. So this is already pretty rough, just, not a whole lot of money going on here. Noise is going to be able to keep up pretty well, given that there's a Grimoire and a Cash already in the opening hand. See a couple data suckers, but a lot of agendas in the runner's hand. Looks like 4 agendas at least. At least 4 agendas. 3-pointer, 2 2-pointers, and a 1-pointer. So game already potentially on the line here. And we're going to see a card get pitched. So Gorman Drip. Every time the corporation uses a click to draw 1 card or gain 1 money, you put a virus counter on it, and then you can trash it, click and trash, I believe, to gain 1 money for every single counter on it. See a restructure. And more cards getting discarded. So a lot of agendas, just a huge agenda flood. It is the downside to mulliganing as a corporation. Really unfortunate here. So Lamprey's coming out, just another agenda, or another virus, another card getting milled. Lamprey says every time there's a successful run on HQ, we will force the corporation to lose 1 credit. So Gorman Drip clicking up there as a card gets drawn. See an install in front of HQ, and looks like we're going to have to pitch possibly yet another card. So installing an NAPD contract face down. Kind of pitching it out of the hand. It could potentially be a Jackson Howard. Noise clicking to draw a couple cards. Drawing 3 cards and then playing out of daily casts. So tempo still potentially in the corporation's favor if we draw into a couple Scorched Earths. However, without any ice ability on the remote servers, that hand is not looking like one that we want to keep. Another agenda. The odds of this are probably not good, especially given that Wayland. I mean, Wayland does play more agendas than other corporation factions, because they will run 2 or 3 hostile takeovers, 2 or 3 posted bounties. So they're going to run 11 or 12 compared to the 10 or 11. So I mean, not too many more agendas, but given that there are 2 in archives, 1 scored, 1 on the table, and 3 or 4 in the hand, there is not a whole lot else that's going to come out of R&D here. I believe we're digging for a Plascrete. If I had to guess, I would say we were digging for a Plascrete. Noise, kick into a pawn shop. So now that the money engine's really going, the cashes can come out for a ton of credits. They mill a card. At the start of the turn, pawn shop them away. Now we can deja vu them and clone chip them back. Dan electing to use daily casts as a form of drip economy to get himself going. I've seen Noise decks with it. I've seen Noise decks without it. Gorman drip, again, he just kind of threw together viruses he knew would generate economy so that he could make 1 or 2 big runs. I have seen Noise decks that will mill 4 or 5 cards and then check archives and mill like that, so that you have to be protecting archives, or otherwise Noise is going to score a bunch of points. So the wild side's going to help out with the Aesop's Pawn Shop combo, so we're going to see that going. One of the downsides that wound up occurring in this game is that Dan milled 2 Jackson Howards with his viruses, which Noise does that. That's one of the benefits of playing Noise, so that there's pretty much no way for the corporation to pitch those agendas out of their hand and refresh their hand and kind of restabilize their board state. So, sure gamble to get more money. But all the cards here, another Lamprey, so another mill, and a Cyber Feeder. So we haven't checked archives once yet, which I would, regardless of the fact that I know that there's a ton of agendas in the corporation's hand, I would still like to see it get checked, because if that is a Jackson Howard, we want it to disappear. If it's not a Jackson Howard, we want to see it go away. So Jackson Howard, this signifying to the runner that that's not a Jackson Howard on the table, because if we're searching for one, we either have a ton of agendas and archives and we need to kick out both of them, or that's not a Jackson Howard on the table. So I would really like to have seen Noise run archives. He probably could have picked up a bunch of points and then forced the corporation to play in a different manner, realizing, okay, you are going to run archives a bunch of times, so I either have to get that Jackson Howard on the table and make you burn that run, or I have to protect it so that you have to drop your Crypsis or maybe an inside job splash or parasite it down just to get in. It does slow the corporation down, and looking at the money situation, I can see why Noise isn't checking, because Seasource Scorched is a thing, especially with an Atlas counter. But before any of that gets scored, you saw a bunch of cards get pitched right away. You could take that chance and go for it and assume that, okay, the corporation most likely doesn't have the combo that they needed. But I guess it's a 50-50. The corporation did only have, they draw one piece of ice. Even with the combo, you could expect them to be laying ice out. So the hand is still something you want to check, because early in those turns, you could have run the hand a couple times. If you see a Scorch, if you see the Seasource, you can play it safe. If you don't see either one of those, mill a couple cards, rerun it, run archive, see if you can steal a couple points in that manner. Noise just drawing more cards. As one of my friends said, just really loading his gun and filling that chamber. So Jackson Howard going to allow us to come pretty close to restabilizing here. It might be a little bit too late, but 2 hedge funds to gain a ton of money. And we're going to have to discard 1 card. So we're still not ready to It's not ready to run yet. It's probably something I should have realized, being so high up in money, is just to try to score everything out. Because Dan is not going to run until he has his plascrete on the table, because he wants to make sure he's safe. And from a runner perspective, I totally get that and I totally understand it, and I forget on the flip side that that's what corporations need to be watching for, is I have more money than you, I have my combo, you're not going to run me, I need to lay out my agendas in advance and force you to come get them. And I guess Dan just kind of got in my head, because normally that's what I do. I've been known to install and advance the cleaners in, a naked remote server, going, I have everything I need, I dare you to come get this. So we're going to see archives get run, and looks like there's a bunch of points in here. So now we're currently debating, that's the last Jackson Howard. So do we use the Jackson Howard to bring the sea sources back and the Scorched Earths and forfeit a ton of points, or do I put the points back in? So it looks like points are going to go in. And Dan now knows Seesaw Scorched is most likely not an option, because those cards are not in the deck or the hand. They're totally gone. The look of frustration on the corporation side. Still up 3-0. I think this would be a good time to, I think based on the pressure situation, I think two installs in front of that remote. See, I would like to see 2 installs in front of the remote, and then advance that NAPD contract. There's no breakers on the table, and even though Crypsis would come in with 1, you could get him to forfeit a ton of his money, then try to steal the NAPD contract. So I think Crypsis is going to come out here, and we're going to start making more runs. It did force the pawn shop, but, I mean, Noise is at 10, 20, 31 credits. So I can see, I mean, you have to start trying to work it out. You have to try to start whittling it out. Yeah, so I was staring at the board state and going, I know there was a posted bounty in there. I think Dan forgot to grab it, so he technically accessed all the cards in archives, so he had to score it, because the rules don't allow him to not steal an agenda when he steals one. So Crypsis is going to go big or go home here. And had these ice all been installed in front of that NAPD contract, this would be a great opportunity. Get the runner to blow all their money, install and advance that next agenda, and push for the win. But because they're all installed in front of a server that doesn't protect that NAPD contract, Archer. So it's going to be 6. So we're going to have to lose that counter. We're going to knock it down to 2. We're going to pay 1, 2, and then 4. We're going to just absolutely fire through that. Caduceus. Sentry, going to run some traces. So a counter, 3 and 2 is 5. And a Hadrian's Wall. So that's going to be expensive. So this is again, this is a great position for the runner to now say, I can install another agenda. It's going to be 10, 11, 12 for Crypsis to get through. He goes to steal the NAPD contract. He spends another 4. He goes down to 2 credits. Now we can install and advance another Project Atlas. So that needs to get scored, right? So he's going to elect not to go for it. The Project Atlas is going to get scored, and we're going to start running elsewhere. So 4 points we need. I mean, the tempo is now shifted into, that remote server is essentially worthless unless we bait it out. We can go for another 2-pointer, another Project Atlas, and then hope that if we get it, we can see the hostile takeover get scored. But we're just going to try to keep the corporation bankrupt here. We're going to run a bunch of different things, see what's going on. Thinking, are we going to check it? So we're going to lose the counter to check. We're going to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 to break. And we're going to see the top card. He sees a hive. Caduceus. So there's the win right there. We just have to keep the corporation or the runner bankrupt enough, and that's not going to happen. Noise at 21 credits. I mean, that could have been go for it, install advance, and say come get this. I think 1, 2, so 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is gonna hurt. We're gonna run R&D. See a power shut down. So now that we've got him bankrupt, trying to score an agenda, we knew that there wasn't a C-Source Scorched in play. We ran that remote. Even though we allowed it to score, we have way more money than the corporation. So Archer is 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 plus 10, 11, 12. So 14 and 12 is 26. So the runner currently doesn't have enough time to go and score out the install advance. So there's the win on the table, and it's going to require a bunch of different tricks here. So we'll see what happens. I think we're going to kick something. Probably kick the imp for 3. I believe if my math is right, you need 6, and then 3 on the Archer, so that's 9. You need 5 for the Caduceus, which is 14, and then you need 10 for the Hadrian, or the Hadrian's Walls of Strength, 7. 7, 8, 9. So 10 and 9, so 19 credits, so we have enough money to get in. And it's just, do we spend our turn? I mean, we have to check it. So if it's a Cerebral Overwriter, then we're going to take the brain damage. It is a very viable splash in this. I've seen a bunch of players use it. And I'm not sure that we're going to go for it. I'm thinking, Dan's currently debating between, do I run that server, guaranteed steal it, go totally bankrupt, and have 3 points, in which that case, if he has another one, he goes install advance, now I win, unless you run archives, or do I hammer on archives, try to get all the points that I need, and win that way. Because it's going to take the whole turn. We're going to have to click the Crypsis in order not to lose it, or we could run archives, click Crypsis twice, and then run that server, seeing how many points we're going to get. It is a lot of math. This game is so much math. So we'll see what he elects to do. He's got a couple different options, a couple different routes. We could deny the 3 points, but that's a ton of credits and a ton of time to get through. I think what we're doing is we're looking through to check Influence and Splash and see what we've seen. We probably haven't seen a whole lot of Influence and Splash, aside from the Eli's and the Jackson Howards. So it's very likely it could be a Cerebral Overwriter. And knowing that the runner definitely has enough credits, is it a bluff? Is it, I want you to spend all your money to come through here? Or is it, I'm daring you to spend all the money to come through here, because when you do, you're not going to have enough money to go and get the next one that I install. Because even if it winds up being an install advance on a Project Atlas, and then we score the Project Atlas out, we can pull the counter to score the other hostile takeover, and that'll do it. So 5 cards in hand. Now there's 1 agenda in there, the rest is ice. One thing that we could do is, we ditched the Lampreys. If the Lamprey was still in play, we could run the hand 4 times, and the corporation's bankrupt, and then there's no way that they could possibly score out that agenda. So we're going to go for it. So we're going to run it.